Page 26. Activity 1. Part 1. Listen to Francisco's model presentation. Pay attention to his organization and vocal characteristics.
Do you think it's possible to have an experience that is dangerous, happy, sad, uncomfortable, and very scary at the same time? I had one, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life. 3 years ago, when I was 18, I escaped from Cuba with my 14-year-old brother, Jose. My father wanted us to live in a free country, get a good education, and have many opportunities. In Cuba, there was no hope for a good future. My father took me and Jose to the beach in the middle of the night and put us on a raft. Before we pushed off, he photographed the raft and said, "I will keep my fingers crossed that you will arrive safely." Our father told us it would take 3 days to reach a city in Florida called Key West. For 3 days, Jose and I were all alone in the ocean without food or water. Sharks were swimming all around us. The waves were very high and splashed over us. I thought we were going to starve, drown, or be eaten by the sharks. I comforted my brother by telling him how much better our lives would be when we finally got to Florida. I made myself feel better by thinking that one day I would go to heaven and meet my parents there. Finally, by some miracle, someone contacted the U.S. Coast Guard about us. The water was too rough for them to reach us in a boat, so they rescued us in a helicopter. Relatives of ours in Miami were notified by the immigration authorities. Our aunt and uncle picked us up in Key West, and we went to live with them in Miami. After 2 years, our parents finally escaped from Cuba also, and we saw them again. That was a very happy day for me. Now that you know my experience, I think you can understand why it was scary, sad, dangerous, uncomfortable, and finally, happy, all at the same time. Even though our journey was risky, I'm glad we decided to do it. If we hadn't, I wouldn't be here today in this free and wonderful country talking to all of you. Thank you for listening.
Page 28. Activity 1. Part 3. Listen to Layla's model presentation.
In my hands, I have a jar of honey. If you look closely, you can see part of the beehive in the jar. You are probably wondering why I brought a jar of honey to show you today. Every time I see honey, I am reminded of a stinging experience I had when I was in the 6th grade. As a child, I grew up on a farm not far from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. One warm summer day, my friend and I were walking home from school. We happened to see a beehive in a tree. We had just studied in school about bee colonies and how bees make honey. This was my big chance to show off to my mother and father what I had learned in school. It looked easy. I searched for a stick and found one about 2 meters long. I handed it to my friend and told her to sneak up to the tree and hit the hive with the stick. I said I would wait until the bees came out, and then I would grab the hive and run away with it. I soon learned a very important lesson. I learned that things don't always work out the way you planned them. My friend pushed the hive down from the tree and then hurried off at full speed. The bees did not go after her. However, they were all over me instantly. They stung my arms. They flew down my blouse and stung me. They flew up my skirt and stung me. They got in my hair and stung me. My parents carried me to the hospital. I stayed there for 2 days until my fever was gone. Oh, I wish I had looked before I leaped. That was the first and last beehive I ever touched. I have never approached a beehive again, and never will. I'm sure you can see how this jar of honey I brought to show you reminds me of a very stinging experience. Keep your fingers crossed that you never get stung by a bee.
So, that's all, gentlemen. Don't forget to leave your feedback about this video in the discussion board of Blackboard. Now get ready for your presentation. All the best.